Hello and welcome to Project Pro. I hope you all are doing well. My name is Ashay. I'm a data engineer at Deloitte USI and have 3 years of experience in the world of big data and cloud computing. And I also earned Azure Data Engineer Associate Certificate from Microsoft. So I hope I'm eligible to teach you this course. So this course is all about Azure Data Factory, where we will discuss all about how we can implement Azure Data Factory and utilize it to create an end-to-end data solution. So before jumping into the course, let's discuss about what we are going to accomplish in this course. Okay, so we are going to have 6 lectures in this course, so which are given here. So in the first course, we are going to discuss about what is Azure Data Factory, its key features, the benefits of Azure Data Factory, as well as we will understand the architecture and different components of ADF. The next lecture is all about data movement and transformation. So in this lecture, we are going to explore different data integration scenarios, as well as we will understand the data movement activities in ADF, and we will perform some data transformation using these activities. And also, let's jump on and create a pipeline for data movement and the transformation. Then comes the data orchestration and the control flow, which will going to be our third lecture. In this, we are going to have an introduction to control flow activities, and we will implement some conditional and loop activities in Azure Data Factory. And also, let's discuss more about handling and retry policies in ADF. There comes the fourth lecture, which is like data integration with Azure services. So in this, we will going to focus on integrating Azure storages with Data Factory. And we will also learn about connecting Azure SQL database to Azure Data Factory. And also, we will learn about how we can utilize Databricks for data integration, as well as integrating Synapse Analytics with Azure Data Factory. And the lecture number 5, in this, we are going to talk about monitoring and management of Azure Data Factory. So in this, we will learn about configuring diagnostic logins, as well as alerting and managing the triggers, as well as the event-based pipelines in Azure Data Factory, which is a very important thing to do. And there comes our last lecture, which is a bit of advanced. So here we will discuss about Data Factory version 2 and some advanced concept like the overview of this Data Factory version 2 and what are the enhancements they have put onto the table, as well as we are going to discuss about using the Data Factory templates for reusability. And also we will implement like advanced data transformation, as well as the mapping data flows. And also at last, let's discuss about some CI/CD and DevOps practices for Azure Data Factory. So this is going to be the structure of our course. So I hope you will enjoy it, and you can let me know in the comments if you find any difficulties, and also provide your suggestions. So before jumping on to the first part, which is introduction to the Azure Data Factory, let's talk about what are the prerequisites for this full course. Okay, so these are like the prerequisites which are required for this tutorial. So this tutorial is basically for all the beginners, so don't worry if you don't have any idea about the Azure services and how we can work with it and deploy it, then don't worry. So the first thing is, if you have like big data engineering concept, that would be beneficial, but it is not necessary, because we are going to go from start, and in the introduction as well, we are going to discuss about some big data concept and what are the different types of big data and how organizations are leveraging big data to provide a meaningful solution. Also, the next thing is, if you have like cloud fundamentals, but it is not particular to any platform. If you have like knowledge of Azure or AWS or GCP, that would be plus, but it is not necessary as well. We are going to cover it eventually. And also, the next thing is, you should have a basic knowledge of SQL and some RDBMS concept, because in this tutorial we are going to handling some structured data of COVID-19. I am going to explain you what is the project we are going to build. So if you have like basic SQL knowledge and the RDBMS concept, that would be great. And also, we are going to set up our Azure account. So if you have already an Azure account, then you can skip it. But if you are truly fresher to Azure, so we are going to cover how you can create your Azure account and subscribe for a free tier subscription at the last of this first lecture. So without wasting any time, let's jump on to the introduction to Azure Data Factory. Okay, so let's talk about Azure Data Factory in detail. So many organizations in the world right now are working with vast amount of data, and that is called as a big data. So big data can be often in the raw format, it will be like unorganized, and it is stored in a range of locations. So it could be in the relational databases or non-relational and any other storage systems. And the significant challenge for this organization is like to bring order to this big data and refine it to get some actionable business insights. That is the main motto behind big data analytics. So Microsoft Azure Data Factory is managed cloud service. Manage means you don't have to worry about all the administrative tasks where you are worried about like software patches as well as memory consumption, scalability, all that stuff. So you don't have to worry about that. Microsoft Azure will do that for you. So it is a managed cloud service and you can use to create actionable business insights from your unorganized data. So it can help you manage like complex extraction, transformation and loading, which is known as ETL process. So I hope you are already aware of the ETL process. If not, it is very simple. It is like to extract the raw data, then apply some transformation on top of the raw data to get it into a required shape or format, and then load it back for the further analytics purpose. That is the ETL process. So let's talk about it with a simple example. Then you will get a clear idea of what I'm talking about. So let's imagine you are working for an online shopping website where you are gathering a logs data from your website coming in, and if you are going to analyze this log data, you would be able to get insight into the customer preferences, like what products customer really like, as well as their demographics and the buying behavior of the users. So peoples in our sales team can leverage this data for upselling and cross-selling opportunities, and they will look out for whether these data logs might contain some helpful information or not. And as well, the development teams as well as the technical teams will be interested in learning about these potential problems with the user experience for the customers which are visiting your online website, and how the new features will help us solve these problems. So this problem is that to successfully analyze the log data, and also you will be needing reference data that is stored on premise, because all the data will not be in the cloud. Some of the data which is very crucial, or we can say a sensitive data, should be stored on premise and not on cloud. So this data will include like customer information as well as the product information and the marketing campaign information. So if your company is storing like this log data in the cloud and you want to use all the on-premise data as well, then you need to use some service to integrate all this stuff. So to move forward with this data analysis, the crucial and very important step is to combine this data, right? You have to integrate this data so that you can build an analytics platform on top of it. So the plan is like to progress for a combined data by using Azure analysis services. That is very important. Then this transfer data can be published into the cloud data warehouse as well as visualized by using Power BI reports for your data analyst to extract the meaning out of that data. And Azure Data Factory can exactly do this for you. So to sum it up, Azure Data Factory is nothing but a cloud-based ETL process and a data integration service which will help us to create a data-driven workflow. So it will help us to orchestrate the data movements as well as transforming the data at huge scale, because everyone is dealing with big data right now. So by using this data factory, you will also reorganize the data into meaningful data stores as well as the data lakes, and it will allow us to make better business decision and grow your business to stay ahead in the competition. So this was all about what is data factory. But you may ask, how this data factory works actually? That is very interesting topic, and let's discuss that now. So here we are going to learn about the components and the interconnected system of Azure Data Factory, and we will also learn about like how it works to provide the solution. So it will help us like determine how we can best use the Azure Data Factory for meeting our organization's requirements. So Azure Data Factory is nothing but a collection of interconnected systems that will combine to provide end-to-end data analytics platform. So this includes some of the functions which I have given here. So we are going to talk about them one by one. So this Azure Data Factory is consist of several functions that will combine to provide your data engineers with a complete data analytics platform. The first one is a connect and collect. So as the name suggests, it is like a first part of the process, and it means is to collect the required data from appropriate data sources. The data could be in anything. As I told you, it could be in on-premise server, it could be in the cloud, it could be in the format of raw data, it could be structured, semi-structured as well as unstructured. And in addition, the disparate data might arrive at different speeds and intervals, because volume of the data is like a 1V in your 3 V's of big data. So with this Azure Data Factory, you can use the copy activity for moving the data from various sources to a single and centralized data store which is situated in the cloud. So after you copied this data, you can use like other systems to transform and analyze that data. So this copy activity will provide you some steps like reading the data from source, then performing the different tasks like serialization, deserialization, compression, column mapping, as well as after doing all this stuff, you can write it back to the destination data source. The next function is transform and enrich. So after you successfully copied the data to central cloud-based location, you can process and transform that data as needed, because every solution needs different transformation in your pipeline. So we will use Azure Data Factory mapping data flows for achieving this. So these data flows will enable us for creating the data transformation graphs which will run on Apache Spark. I hope you already know about Apache Spark. If not, Apache Spark is a data processing tool which is based on direct acyclic graph and processes the data parallelly at scale, at huge scale. And it has different APIs like RDD, data frames, and it can be also used for machine learning as well as real-time data analytics. So you don't have to understand Spark cluster or Spark programming in this lecture. You just need to have a basic understanding of what is Spark and what we are going to do with Apache Spark. The next stuff is CI/CD, which is like continuous integration and development. So this Azure Data Factory will support CI/CD, which will enable us to develop and deliver our ETL processes incrementally before we can publish it. So this ADF will provide you the CI/CD of our data pipelines using the Azure DevOps and the GitHub. I hope you know all about this. These are like repositories where different teams can work together to build and provide a solution to their organizations. And the last function is monitoring. So after we successfully build and deployed our data integration pipeline, it is very important to monitor our scheduled activities and our pipelines. So this monitor function will allow us to track the success rate as well as the failure rates. So this ADF will provide support for pipeline monitoring by using Azure Monitor, as well as we can use the APIs, PowerShell, the monitor logs, as well as the health panel which is situated in the Azure portal. There are so many ways to monitor your Azure Data Factory resources. So that we are going to see eventually in the upcoming lectures. Okay, so now let's talk about the different components of Azure Data Factory. So these are like the basic components of Azure Data Factory which will work together to provide the end-to-end solution. The first one is a pipeline. So as the name suggests, pipeline means like it is a grouping, it is a logical grouping of activities that will perform a specific unit of work. So this activity together will perform a task. And the advantages of using this pipeline is that you can more easily manage the activities as a set instead of the individual item. So that we are calling as an orchestration of our different activities. The next one is an activity. So activity is nothing but a single processing step which is in the pipeline. So this Azure Data Factory will provide supports for different activities. So there are majorly 3 types of activities. The first is data movement, the data transformation, and the data control activities. So we are going to go into more detail in the upcoming lecture about these activities. The next one is a datasets. So dataset will represent a data structure within our data stores. So this points to the data that you want to use in your activities as either the inputs or the output of that particular activity. So that we are calling as a data set. So for example, in this course, we are going to deal with the COVID-19 data of Europe region. So that will be the input data set of our pipeline. The next one is the linked services. So as the name suggests, this will define a required connection needed for Azure Data Factory for connecting to external sources. So ADF uses these linked services for two major purposes. The first one is data storage and the compute resources. And then comes the data flows. So data flows will enable us to develop a data transformation logic. And the best thing is you will not require to write any code for it. So data flows will run the activities within Azure Data Factory that uses scaled out Apache Spark cluster. So since this is a code-free environment, it is very beneficial for beginners as well. And at the last, we have the integration runtimes. So Azure Data Factory will use the compute infrastructure for providing the different data integration capabilities, such as like data flow, we have the data movement, then we have the activity dispatch, as well as the SSIS package execution. So in Azure Data Factory, an integration runtime will provide the bridge between the activity and the linked services. So these components will work together to provide a complete end-to-end platform for data engineers. So by this we can set different triggers on demand and also schedule data processing based on our needs. And we can also associate a pipeline with trigger or manually start it whenever it is needed. And we can also connect different link services such as on-premise application and data or the Azure services via the integration runtime. And also we can monitor all the pipelines which are run natively in Azure Data Factory by using the Azure Monitor. So these are all about the components of Azure Data Factory. Now let's talk about some of the benefits of ADF. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the key benefits of Azure Data Factory and why we are going to use this service as compared to the other services in the world right now. The first one is the scalability. So ADF will enable us to scale our data integration and the processing capabilities based on our needs because it's a serverless service. It will leverage the elasticity of the cloud for handling large amount of data and also accommodate the fluctuating workloads. So for example, we have seen one example where you were working for the online shopping platform. So let's say if you have a sale on your online shopping website, then at that time the load will be very higher as compared to the other times. So that time this elasticity will come into picture and it can accommodate these fluctuating workloads. Then comes the flexibility. So with Azure Data Factory, we can have the flexibility to work with a wide range of data sources. So the data could be on the premise or on the cloud. So it will support various data formats, including the structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data, and it will allow us to extract insights from the diverse data types. So no matter what data you have, we can use Azure Data Factory to extract the meaning out of it. Then comes the data orchestration, which is like a main motto behind using the Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory will allow to orchestrate complex data workflows as well as the pipelines. We can easily define the dependencies as well as we can schedule and monitor the data integration activities, and as well we can create the end-to-end data-driven workflows for our analytics processes. And then the next one is like integration with different other Azure services. So as part of the Azure ecosystem, ADF will seamlessly integrate with Azure's other services like Databricks, machine learning, Synapse Analytics, and many more to come. So this integration will enable us for leveraging additional functionalities and services for enhancing our data analytics platform and its capabilities. So the next one is it will provide a code free and code friendly environment. So this ADF will provide visual interface for building the data pipelines, and it will make us accessible to non-developers, as well as it will enable the faster development. So in the agile development world, it is a big plus for every data engineer right now. So it will also supports coder friendly environment options as well, and it is like comes with rich set of APIs and software development kits for more advanced scenarios. But for beginners, it will provide you a code free environment so that you can learn it and progress it on the way. Then comes the data transformation and the enrichment. So Azure Data Factory will provide built-in data transformation, and as well as it will provide the data enrichment capabilities as well. And also it will allow us for cleansing, transforming and enriching our data during the integration process. So this definitely will ensure that our data is of high quality and ready for the analysis by different analysts in our organization. Also, it will provide the monitoring and management very easily. So ADF will provide very robust monitoring as well as the management features. So these management features will include like lineage, logging as well as alerting. So by these functionalities, we can easily track the status of our data pipelines, as well as we can troubleshoot some of the issues which are coming on the way, as well as we can gain insights into the performance and optimization of our data pipelines. And at last but not least, very important one, the security and the compliance, because if your data is in cloud, the compliance and security will be a big concern. But Azure Data Factory will adhere to rigorous security and compliance standards. So it will provide you the built-in security controls as well as encryption for a data at rest as well as in transit, as well as it will integrates with Azure AD, which is Active Directory for access management. So this will ensure the confidentiality as well as the integrity and compliance of your data, because if you are handling sensitive data, security and compliance will be the biggest issue and the top priority before building your data analytics platform. So these are like the benefits of Azure Data Factory, which is like a powerful tool, and it will like efficiently manage and process the data as per your business requirement. So enough talking. I hope you got all the understanding about introduction to Azure Data Factory, where we have discussed what is Azure Data Factory, how it works under the hood, its different components as well as its benefits. But before jumping on to the creating your Azure account, let's discuss about different Azure projects which are provided by Project Pro, which you can find it in this link, and I am going to give you this link in the description below so that you don't have to go into any hassles. So let's click on this link and navigate to the website. Okay, so here you will get the solved end-to-end Azure projects which will solve you a real world business problems. That is a very great opportunity for you to grab and learn about Microsoft Azure in details. So you will be able to work on a real-time data as well, and you will be exposed to the cutting edge technologies which are in the world right now, like the Data Factory, the Databricks, and you will get an end-to-end solution which you can implement in the real world and make the impact in your organization. So don't miss a chance. Just go to this link and check out the latest Azure projects which are provided by Project Pro. Okay, so now let's set up our free tier Azure subscription. So I'll give you this link in the description below so that you don't have to go into any hassle. So just click on this link and follow the instruction with me. Okay, so you can start your 12-month free subscription and you will get like the credits of USD $200. So just click on start free, and here you should have some email account or else you can create a new one. So I'll add just another account, and here you have to give your account now. After that, just give the password, and now you should go into stay signed in, and here you need to fill a simple form here. So just give whatever the information they are required, the first name, the last name. After that, the email address is mentioned, and you have to give the phone number as well here. So I'll just give my phone number here. So it is required for the OTP authentication. So just use the text me. Okay, so just give the OTP now. So give the organization here, and after that the PAN ID is optional. So just skip that and give the address now. Okay, so you have to just click on I agree and click on next. Okay, so here now you have to provide your credit card information, and they will charge you like 2 rupees from your account just to verify your credit card, and it will just create a standing instruction on your credit card. But don't worry, as mentioned here, you won't be charged unless you move to a pay as you go pricing. So that will be a really safe, and you will get 28 days subscription to use all the Azure services. So just you need to put all the card number, the CVV and the address that you have mentioned during opening this account, and that's it. That is the all process you wanna do. So I have already created my account, so I'm not gonna execute these steps. Okay, so once you enter this detail, now let's jump on to the Azure portal, where I'll give you an overview of how you can create Azure resources in your subscription. Okay, so once you have done all the process, then this is like the home page of the Microsoft Azure portal. So in this portal, you can manage all your subscription as well as the resource groups and all the resources you have created. This is like all the things you can do here. And here, as you can see, you can directly create resources. You can create like virtual machine or the key vault or SQL databases, whatever it is. You can just go ahead and start exploring this Azure portal so that you will get a clear understanding of how we can create an end-to-end data pipeline in this course. Okay, so that was all about today's lecture. Here we have discussed all about introduction to Azure Data Factory, as well as we have seen all the different projects which are provided by Project Pro, and also we have created our free tier Azure subscription account. So we are good to go and start our Azure Data Factory project in the next lecture. So in the next lecture, we are going to discuss about data movements as well as the transformation, where we will explore different data integration scenarios, as well as we will understand the different data movement activities in ADF, and also we will perform data transformation using these activities and create a pipelines for data movement as well as the transformation. So it is going to be very fun. So I'll see you in the next lecture.